Howdy, back again. It's Rob Murray here. Company is called Intrigue Media. I'm doing a series of video blogs around sales, leadership, and bananas marketing. And today I wanted to take a quick minute to talk a couple of pieces around leadership and the idea around building culture. So the first thing I want to mention was I get really inspired after I work out, but then my hair's always messed up, so I never do a video blog, but I said forget it, whatever, my hair's a little messed up, I'm all sweaty, but I'm going to do it anyway. So what I wanted to mention was, well, first of all, exercise is a great way to get inspired. I find every time I work out, I want to do these, so I'm just going to start doing it with either a hat on or with messed up hair. What are you going to do? So this thing on culture. A couple of ideas. So the first one is, as leaders or as anybody trying to create culture or build a culture, it's really important that we understand that the kind of root cause and idea behind what culture actually is. So from my perspective, culture is really about creating an environment where certain values will flourish or die. And if you consider like what a culture really is from its root word, like from a bacterial culture, and you think about it like a petri dish, and if you've done a science experiment or biology, maybe you put something in Coke and see if it lives or if it dies, and if you put a plant in a petri dish full of cola, well, it's not going to live, it's going to die, and that culture doesn't promote the health of the plant. And really our job as leaders is to create the petri dish for the type of culture we want to build. And really as leaders, culture lives and dies in the environment we create. And the environment is not only how we communicate and how we work as a team, but the actual physical space, the way we approach workflow, the way we approach how we manage each other, ourselves, how we respond to certain situations, and everything that's involved with it. I mean, culture really is every component in an organization, from the being on time to the how you present yourself in a room, how you come prepared, all that type of stuff. And at Intrigue, we've got a lot of really good feedback from our clients and our community around the culture we've built with our team. And I feel really honored and grateful to receive that kind of feedback. But I also got to tell you, I have to admit that we're not perfect. And recently, I've made a couple of fumbles around the area of culture. And I wanted to share with you guys a little mistake I made, so hopefully you guys won't make it as well. So when it comes to culture, one of the big things we believe at Intrigue is embrace failure and learn from it. And we really try to create a culture where it's okay to fail, and it's better to act and mess up than it is to not act. The world is full of great ideas, but it's not full of people that implement those ideas. So in order for us to stay ahead, to stay on the cutting edge, stay fresh, we need to come up with ideas, implement them quickly, learn from what happens, and iterate. So we talk about it all the time. We talk about how it's okay to fail and that we're in an environment that's safe to fail. But recently, we undertook a project and we made Intrigue Media a client of Intrigue Media. And we developed a website process and a marketing action plan for our own company like we do for our clients. And I was the client in this situation. And as the website content and copy started getting written, I started to look at it and I was frustrated because it wasn't going the way I had planned or hoped for, and from my perspective at the time, had given direction on. And I got frustrated with team members around the way it was being done and how it was being accomplished. And I was visibly frustrated, and people felt it and felt the brunt of that, and emotionally it was taxing on a lot of people, myself included. And I realized, months later, that I was a living contradiction of what culture we were trying to create. I was saying, hey, it's cool to fail, no problem, you're in a safe place to fail. But when people misstepped, from my perspective, I chewed them out or was, not very kind in the way that I approached or diplomatic in the way I approached the situation. And I was a living contradiction of the culture that it's embracing failure and learning from it. And so, I was given feedback, which is another culture we believe in big time, which is practice open, honest communication, because it's really easy to give good news. It's not easy to give bad news. And I believe relationships flourish around open, honest communication. So I got feedback from the team and from one person specifically who's a champ that said, hey, you know what? Maybe you weren't the best client, and maybe you weren't living out the way, we talk about. And I realized right in that moment that was exactly true. And that if I'm going to sit there and preach that we're in a safe environment to fail, then I have to act in accordance to that idea in order to build a petri dish that's great for a culture of failing fast and failing forward. So really the lesson here is, if you believe in a culture, whatever that might be for your organization, make sure two things. One, that you're conscious of your behaviors and that they're in accordance with the culture you've defined. And two, and this is probably more important than the first one, building relationships with team members that make them feel safe to give you open, honest communication if you overstep your bounds. And for that, I will be forever grateful with our team. So I hope you learn a couple of lessons from this little talk. I'll keep them coming. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll do my best to address them. Thanks, guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.